Hey guys, it's Jonah here once again, back with, well, it's not quite beer. I'm doing cider today because it's actually the solstice today. And I'll be getting up very, very early and basking in the sunlight because, contrary to popular belief, I believe the solstice is around the shortest night of the year and not actually the longest day, if that makes sense. So I'm celebrating the sun going down and then coming up on the other side of the shortest night of the year. And yeah, what do you do when it's really sunny? Because it is sunny today. And there's a certain football match going on, apparently, which is why I've got a bit of red, white, and blue. I haven't actually got an England top, but I definitely support the kind of British thing. And obviously, England are playing today. You've got to drink some reasonably strong blooming cider, don't you? I didn't actually have a Kent one in the house, but I picked this one up. 8.5% vintage Herefordshire cider. And this is the night cider. It's a medium dry, right from the heart of Herefordshire. It's a big one, 500 bad boy. Probably not going to drink it all on the video because you'll see the glass isn't quite big enough. We've got some blurb on the back. There we go. Our vintage Hereford cider, masterfully crafted by a master cider maker, blending bittersweet apples, refreshing, medium taste, blah, 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 blah. Don't drive, don't approach those pregnant ladies that drink cider. My God, you get in trouble. There we go. That's what I was after. It's in Worcestershire, which is where the sauce comes from, for those of you that like that kind of thing. Oh, I better show off what the other kind of implements I'm using. It's a crown cap, so there is the Lady Venus. Had this for years now, kindly given to me by Zippy Viking, who I see every now and then. So Zippy, shout out to you, my friend, if you're watching this. He's quite a kind of hippie dude, so he's going to be around, out and about, I should say, for the solstice and all that kind of stuff. We have a cider glass that has been liberated from somewhere. There's even apples on it. This is from Kent, the Kentish Pip one. And I think, who's the guy there? It's Johnny, isn't it? I think it's Johnny, who's one of the sales guys there. Shout out to you, brother. Our paths will cross again, I'm sure. So this has been in the fridge chilling, because you need chilled cider. Oh, that's the other thing I should have said. For those of you with good eyes, we've got some ice in there, because I always like cider with ice, especially if it's a real strong one, like this one is. Okay, it's not like 10% an apple vine or something, but 8.5, it's not bad. Oh, so there we go. Lovely, lovely looking cider. I should probably do one of these, shouldn't I? Whoops, so there we go. There's the nice cider. Oh, I can never get these things right. There we go. Do that over a little bit and then something like that for today's video. Look at that. There's quite a lot of carbonation going on in there. It's always nice to see. Having the ice in there helps break up the carbon dioxide as well. So weirdly, having ice in your cider, especially fizzy cider, personally I like still cider better. Don't know why that is, just easier to drink, I suppose. But by putting ice in, it also gets rid of some of that carbon dioxide, so it makes it slightly easier to drink, unless you've got dodgy teeth, and my teeth aren't the best, so we'll see what we get. Cheers and beers, happy solstice to you all. Chin chin. Let's hope the sun rises on another day, and we keep going round and round. Ah, crazy. Cheers. Whoa. Yeah, interesting. So this is kind of, I don't know what apples they're using in here, but kind of a little bit more kind of rough, which would, for me, that kind of says Dabinet or something like that. Other cider apples are available, but just the fact that it's kind of bittersweet, it's a more kind of darker one, a more gnarly kind of apple juice. Has got a bit of residual sweetness, which is good. Some people back sweeten. Some people use apple juice. That was the traditional way of doing it. Because it's in bottles, and I got this from the supermarket, I would be very surprised if they didn't force carbonate this cider. But hey, maybe not, maybe not. Um, yeah, wow, that taste is pretty gnarly. You can taste the kind of apple worms and sort of gnarly kind of things, rat tails and all that kind of stuff that often gets into your cider. All adds to the flavour, doesn't it? Sometimes people put a few crab apples in as well, just to up the. Wow, I told you it was a bit carbonated. To up the yeah, the kind of bitterness of it. So he goes bitter then sweet, which is a nice way to describe it. It says bittersweet on there, didn't it? It said bittersweet apples, but this is called a medium dry cider. Interesting. Let's dive in for some more. Oh, and when the sun's out, it does kind of rekindle my love of cider. Um, I've said it before, I don't drink a huge amount of cider, but I do drink cider. Um, and Kent is a good reason, well, a region, I should say. I was going to say reason, no, good region for growing apples, as well as growing hops. So we're kind of a bit spoilt for choice because we've got some really good cider people. Kentish Pip is one. There's a Faversham cider, which is called Kent cider, which is really good. Canterbury Cider Company, they make some really nice ciders. There are a lot of other ones. So people are growing apples in the hills and on the hillsides. Um, yeah, of Kent. It's the chalky sort of downy kind of thing. Apparently good for apples. Same as in Normandy. Is it Normandy or Brittany? I think a bit of both, but I think Normandy's the more famous one for its cider. And if you look at the strata, you look at the actual land, Kent and Normandy quite close together and very kind of similar earth, that kind of stuff. Really good for growing apples. So yeah, Calvados and all those other drinks, especially in Europe, they love that stuff. Probably more than here. It's weird. Everyone thinks Somerset and those sort of places, but Kent has a big cider kind of place as well, like traditionally. Oh, and the weird thing about cider in the UK, thank God, is that the tax, the laws for cider is slightly different to say beer and wine and spirits. So usually, now this is something that I'll tell you what I'm going to say in a sec. So usually it's cheaper to buy um, than craft beer, for example. There is such a thing as craft cider, which is just nuts. Because as far as I'm concerned, craft cider to me basically means expensive cider, um, and that's not what cider's about for me. Cider essentially grows on the tree. If you get apples and they're slightly old, well, number one, you get wasps and things going into your apples, which is no good. But you do get certain amount of fermentation going on, within the apple or apple on the tree itself. So you don't really need yeast. All you need is apples. Crazy. But craft cider, for somehow, by back sweetening, by adding flavouring, by adding stuff to it, somehow makes it better. Whereas cider for me is crushed apples, pulped, juiced. You can swap out the yeast if you want to, but why not use your terroir, your natural yeasts from your area to make your cider? Um, yeah, it's one of the most easy drinks to make, along with wine. It's much more complicated to make beer, believe it or not. Um, but yeah, cider. Why is it so expensive? Kentish Pip, I know, and the Canterbury cider are quite expensive for what they are, and you're talking sort of £4 for a bottle. Cider should be reasonably cheap in my estimation. Wow, this is kind of starting to blur my words more than normal, perhaps. It's not every day you drink a 8.5 or 8.4% drink. But yeah, cider definitely has its place, and I mean proper cider, not macro cider. There are a lot of places. What was it I read in a book? But basically, there's one producer, Bulmers, I think it is, um, which makes up like 90% of cider sold. Pardon me. Somebody actually wrote me a note in one of my other videos saying, your belches sound like Johnny Weissmuller as Tarzan. I thought that was absolutely genius. So thank you for that comment. That's really good. By the way, if you have such critiques of my style, hopefully I am entertaining you while I'm drinking, imbibing. Um, Please leave a comment. Leave me a comment anyway. It cheers me up reading the comments. And click like to the video, of course, if you do like it. How are we doing? Well, we're over 10 minutes, so I didn't think we'd get that far, but we'll finish some of this off and let you guys get on your way. Oh, most of you are probably watching the football, whereas I'm out here drinking cider. Right, I'm going to finish that one off. But there we go. That is the Knight's Vintage Herefordshire Cider. Wow, it's still focusing on me. There we go. Knight's Vintage Herefordshire Cider. Oh, hang on. That's weird, isn't it? Worcestershire. And that says Herefordshire. Wow, I didn't notice that at the beginning. That's very strange. Anyway, enjoy what's left of this side of the year. And tomorrow is a fresh new year. If you're thinking, yeah, in terms of summertime and that sort of stuff. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Unclejona will return. It's going to be beer or cider, and I'm going to do that review real soon.